7 behaviors that can ruin your chances of working with a family office. Hello, everyone. My name is Tessa. I'm with the Futurist Mindset Show. Today, we are introducing Reagan Rodriguez. Reagan is a futurist who teaches stratosphere wealthy legacy families how to become impact investors. Hello, Reagan. How are you?
I am doing awesome. And
Wonderful.
for those of you that are on, that we are recording on Wednesday at 5 p.m. So we're kind of pre-recording. And then what you're seeing live on Friday, just so you know, neither one of us are doing this on July 4th or July 5th. So
Right. Well, but the important thing is that we show up every single Friday for everyone to help them learn more. So what you're covering today about these, what not to do. So I love that you're telling us what we should be doing by way of what we should not be doing.
yeah, I'm glad that's a great way to get started. Last week I went over what are some deeds, what are some things you can be doing, because those are one of the questions that comes up. It's interesting. Before we hit the record button, you had mentioned to me, Tessa, that you would talk to one of our interns, Jordan,
Yeah.
and I suspect that one of his questions were, like you mentioned, he's very eager to
Mhm.
kind of get started, and he's been doing great. And I want to just bring a lot more value to everyone that's listening to this. So last week, these were questions that I get, that people sometimes say, gosh, I'd love to be working with the kind of investors that you work with. I'd love to be invited on their yachts and jets and their homes. And I do feel very fortunate when I get invited to their homes. I find that to be an honor. And that doesn't happen right away. It doesn't. That's the other way to kind of begin is, I had somebody once say, I feel like these big time kind of investors, that they don't give me the benefit of the doubt. And I said, you're right. That Have you ever heard the expression not to prejudge? We've all heard that, right? That we shouldn't prejudge. Well, if you give somebody the benefit of the doubt, what are you doing? In essence, you're also prejudging. So this person said, well, I don't get it, Regan. You say that you shouldn't prejudge, and you're saying that we shouldn't give people the benefit of the doubt. Well, then which of the two do we do? We're not going to do either one of the two. They're going to get to know you. You get to know them. And over time, that trust is built,
Mhm.
right? So number one, I want to go over 7 steps. And I just kind of wrote these down, and believe it or not, I wrote them down last night when I gave you the title of what we're going to go over, Tessa. I thought, kind of jot these down because they're questions that I get. How do I get in the door with that family office? Or some people say I
Mhm.
can't. So I just started writing them down. So let's start with number one. Stay away from materialism. And if you're a materialistic person, stay away from that. That's not going to impress these people. It really does. Okay. Yes, I do dress nice, but I don't overdo it. Okay. I'll wear a blue shirt. I'll maybe I do sometimes wear a tie, but that I'm not over the top on it. Okay. I'm also gonna say this. I would stay away from jewelry. I know that people that are really worth billions don't wear jewelry. People that maybe grew up very poor and maybe are worth millions maybe do. Sometimes we see that in entertainment world, actors, rappers. The reality is, I mean, I've never seen Warren Buffett with even a watch, right? So stay away from that. The key is you want them to see an inner glow. Notice I said an inner glow, nothing on the outside. Okay. So when you communicate with them, make sure that your conversation it's meaningful. Talking about materialistic stuff is not meaningful. It's not going to impress them. And again, what you're looking for is an inner glow. Tessa, I kind of see your mind kind of going like this. Is there anything you'd like to add to that?
No, I do think that I imagined that you would have to play in a more materialistic place to be hanging out with these people that have high wealth. I mean, honestly, I'm kind of shocked. Maybe that's what you saw on my face. Like, wait, we don't have to do that. We don't have to talk about yachts and whatnot. So it's just a surprising answer more than anything to me.
So how about this? And I've never asked any of these families to be invited on their boats, their yachts. They ask me. That takes time, but I'm not going to bring that up. Number two, they're looking for confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a different kind of confidence than what you think. Confidence meaning they want to know that the person they're working with, that confidence is a pillar. So what does confidence mean to the ultra wealthy? It means that you're trustworthy. It means that you're authentic. Now, let's talk about, I'm going to talk about somebody else I was thinking of. I thought of it, didn't have it in my notes. Elizabeth Holmes, the Theranos. For those of you that followed that, look up how much money Betsy DeVos gave them, because the DeVos family has a family office that's probably worth billions. They wired in $120 million like it was $120. And it even says this, if you look it up, look on a few things on YouTube, they didn't do much due diligence either. They did go down and meet Elizabeth Holmes. They did go down to the office. Look, there the naysayers out there. I think there was that professor from Stanford that knew Elizabeth Holmes, and she's like, I don't get it. She said, I guess because they related well, right? Betsy DeVos is a woman, Elizabeth's a woman. They both have blonde hair. I don't know, but at the end of the day, I mean, they complained on her and she's in jail. So they didn't find her to be trustworthy. Mm-hmm. She could have had a friend for life. And they have yachts. I believe the DeVos family acquired the Hatteras Yacht Company. But she wasn't on their yachts. And she's not their friends. Elizabeth Holmes claimed that she was a big risk taker. And that's what she prided herself on, is that she's a risk taker. Well, if she was watching this, I would say, are you really a risk taker? So you know what the greatest risk of all is? To be truthful. I mean, because you don't know what the outcome's going to be, right? I mean, I don't know if you've ever tried to get out of a situation or make an excuse to get out of that doesn't take any risk. That's easy to get out of that one. I was thinking of when I said it's easy, I remember when I was 18, 19 years old, I had this friend of mine that she said that it was really cold, like I think it was 30 degrees, something like that. It was in Ohio. And she said, I didn't want to lie and tell my boss and say that my car wasn't working, but my car was filled with snow. I have an old car, and when it's cold, it has trouble running. So technically, if I didn't on scrape the windshield, it probably wouldn't work anyway. Now, again, she did that because that was easy. That was her way to get out of it. She calls her boss and says, my car isn't working. What if she would have been truthful? You never know what could have come out of that, right? Or what if she would have come to work anyways? And maybe on the way after work, the car wouldn't have started. How do you know that he wouldn't have said, you do what you can to come, even on a day that was 20 degrees with snow, I'm going to get you a car. I mean, we don't know, right?
Yeah, right.
So, third one, being snobbish. Stay away from
Mm-hmm.
that. Nobody likes that. Nobody wants to be around someone snobby. So if you do choose to go that route, or you have, that's the price for arrogance.
I was going to say. So
Congratulations.
being
But
arrogant or prideful or boasting a lot about yourself or what you have, right?
I also want you to think about this. Actually, I learned it from Frank Reagan. You know, Frank Reagan, that's been
Mm-hmm.
on here
Yeah.
before, founder of AM Spirit, one of the most intelligent men I know. He said, have you ever thought about this, Reagan? Whenever you're arrogant, chances are your words are not 100% truthful.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I want you to think about it. Right? None of us are perfect, right? He goes, think of the last time that you were a little arrogant. And he said, was everything 100% true? I mean, it's almost like you embellish a little. So being snobbish, that you're not going to get in the door. Uh, what I wrote down was superiority is what you're acting. You want to influence a family office. You want them to invest in your project or your initiative. Don't go in with superiority. Okay. So how you treat people, they're going to pick up on that.
Yes.
Number four, I'm sorry. Anything you'd like to add on that,
No, no,
Tessa?
that's perfect. I mean, I think humility will get you a lot further for sure.
You're exactly right. Next one, judging everyone. I know people like that they have a judgment about everybody. Uh, that is a poison, and that's going to destroy getting your chances of getting in the door with a family office. Here's only notes I wrote down on this. Instead, what you want to do is spread kindness and understanding, not judgments. That comes across like critical. They don't want to be around that. Remember, first point, they're looking for you, someone that has this inner glow.
Mm-hmm. So that,
Materialism is not.
yeah, I was just going to say, is
Again,
that more like in terms of judging, is that also a little bit on the gossiping side or that side?
we're getting to that. That's
Oh, it's
you
already
jumped
what's
ahead.
coming.
Yeah.
Never
I'm
mind.
on 4. I've got 5 and then 6. On point number 6, we're going to get into that. You're very close because they kind of go together.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5 is gestures and expressions. Oh gosh. That's when I've had, like, the rolling of the eyes or certain facial. Don't be careful on that. Making faces, rolling eyes. Uh, I don't think I wrote anything else on that because you don't need to, but sometimes we do that. Someone makes a comment, says something, and we roll our eyes, and we don't even call them. These people do that quite a bit. Be conscious of that. Don't, don't do that. Now, number 6, don't talk about shallow topics. People don't want to hear that. What's an example of a shallow topic? Tessa just brought it up. If you're gossiping, that fits under the category of shallow topic. So what should you do? If you're like, well, what do I talk about? That's me. That's what I know. Okay, expand your horizons a little bit. The only notes I wrote down is maybe watch documentaries. Be a learner. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
say you have to have uh, just a few things to talk about other than uh, what you saw on the tabloids at the grocery store, right? Or that's
Right.
what's not to. Number 7, being overly competitive. Okay, we all know that person that if you say I ran 5 miles, they say I ran 10. I've got the and you're I've got mine is bigger. Mine's trust me. If they could have the biggest yacht they wanted, but they choose not to. They could get a Rolex if they wanted to, but they don't want to wear that, and neither do I. So let's not be overly competitive. It's great if you've got that's part of your nature to be competitive. Let's remember who we're talking to. Okay, so that's it. Okay, to recap, let's avoid judgment, uh, excess competition, arrogant attitude. Uh, so if you just keep those 7 things in mind, you're ready to shine. Okay, so let's kind of now walk together in excellence, which is that word I used last week. They want someone that's excellent, not perfect. You can be authentic, be real, stay away from all the stuff you think you've heard in Hollywood that they would, because they don't want that. So that I want to hear from you, Tessa. Any
Yes.
feedback you've got
No,
on
those
this?
were great. The excellent suggestions for sure. I mean, really, you're building a relationship. So it would be, if it's going to come across as fake or disingenuine because you are trying to get in the door with them, and then it's definitely on the don't do list right here, right? Build a relationship and build and with their interests in mind. I think it's like everything. If we listen more than we talk, if you find yourself, if this isn't a balance, then it's probably not going well at that moment. So,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's good.
I had somebody once give a perfect example of this. They had somebody that is managing their family office, and I said, "How did you make the decision to choose them?" And the wife said, "She reminds me of Rachel Green. I think that was her last name, the gal in that show Friends, the
Oh,
Jennifer
yes.
Aniston." She said,
Yes.
meaning she's trustworthy, she was real, she could that she kind of reminded her of her. She goes, that's like who I choose to want to be friends with.
I love it. That works. Right. Because they're putting a lot of trust. It's very much about trust. And so if you are who you say you are and you are consistently who you say you are and you follow through, like that should have been one of those other things that you have to do is be on, like, actually consistent and reliable.
That's right. Very good. Well,
Yes.
I think I've given everybody enough
Yes,
to
that's
kind of think
beautiful.
on. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And as always, I know we're here every Friday at noon Eastern time. So if you do have a topic that you want us to cover, or if you have questions for Reagan, there is a link in the post that you can reach out on the website to find out more information about Fifth Avenue Capital, Futurist Mindset, and Reagan as a fund manager, and learn about some of the projects that he has as well. So thank you so much. Well, don't forget to hit the bell so you get reminders when we go live, and we'll see you